Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're going to take a look at Parks Roll and Hike. This is from Keystone Games, the maker of Parks and Trails, and it's essentially the roll and write version of Parks. So some of the stuff you're going to see is very familiar: gathering sun, filling up your canteen, things like that. Others are going to be brand new to this version of Parks. So what you see right now is set up for a 1 to 2 player game. And I also technically have here this trail guide for hiking solo. So this can be done solo. It is a beat your own score, or essentially how well can you do. You can see the score thresholds down here on the bottom of the card. But the game is still fun to play solo. I'll talk about that here at the end. This board here also is double-sided, so on the 3 to 4 player side, there's actually just one more spot that you would hike to. You remove the binoculars token for a 1 and 2 player game, so that one would be added. Otherwise, you're always going to shuffle these up between each round and lay them out individually, so the timing that you hit each one is going to change, but you are guaranteed to come across each one of those. The game also has these really nice, big, chunky dice, and these are not only unique, but they are unique even amongst the dice. Here you can see that this one, this dual animal one, is bear and turtle. This one is fish and bird. This orange one, which has some significance, we'll talk about here in a minute. I do just want to talk about the component quality. Right off the bat is really nice. The dice are big and chunky. These books that you get to, it's not just a sheet of paper. You get like this little book that you feel like would be like a journal that you would take with you hiking. These pieces are nice, big and chunky. The marker that keeps track of how far along you are on the trail. Even the rule book has this like old-timey, I don't know, 1980s like park instruction manual, hiker's guide to it, feel to it. So the artwork on here is very different from the Parks artwork. And there's several parks in here. I think it's like 6 to 10 or something like that. So each park plays a little differently, giving you a lot of replay value. All right, so all of that aside, let's talk about how to play briefly before I give you my thoughts on the game. Each round, you're going to hike to the end of the trail. That's going to be considered one day. As you hike along the trail, you're going to be gaining the benefits on the rolled dice. Anytime that this orange dice is claimed by someone, you're going to advance the little shoe along the trail, and whichever trail marker is there, that's going to signify some stuff for who took the die and for everyone. Anytime that orange dice is taken, the dice are then going to be re-rolled. We'll go through that again until eventually you make it to the trail's end. At the trail's end, that's the end of day 1. You're going to take some sunset actions, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, which give you various bonuses depending on how well you've filled out your sunset area. We'll reshuffle these tokens, and we'll do it all 2 more times. So you play through 3 days, walking to the end of the trail each day, and obviously the winning condition is to score the most points. So before we go any further, let's look closely at our little booklet here and talk about these various areas. So up here in the upper left corner, we have our sunset area. So I'm actually going to come back to that. I'm going to start here on the right-hand page, which is a little backwards, but here you have your sun. So anytime you gain a sun, you're going to circle it, and anytime you use up a sun, you're going to X through it. Here's your canteen. You simply fill in the water droplets. You got to go from top to bottom, left to right, and you're going to score during the sunset phase for whatever number here, the highest number that you have all filled up. So if I have filled up everything, these first 3 columns here, I'll gain 6 points during the sunset phase. Say I'm able to fill this one up during the next day, I'll get 10, so on and so forth. You don't spend the water, you just gain it and keep filling it up as much as you can. Here you have the animal sightings that you've made, and basically sighting each one of these animals is going to give you bonuses somewhere else. And the more you sight them, the more you're going to gain those bonuses. The bird one here being my favorite, you get to fill in something on the sunset section. So water or fish is going to give you water, turtle is going to give you sun, bear is going to allow you to write in your journal, which we'll talk about here in a second, and the bird is going to allow you to fill in a circle in your sunset area. As you fill in a box above and below one of these shields, that's going to be endgame scoring. So if I have filled out the first level of each animal, I will score 6, 7 points at the end of the game. The binoculars here, if you claim a binocular action, you're simply going to choose any one of these circles to fill in. And when you've completed both circles, you get to take the action to the right. Here, these bottom 4 are linked directly to the landscape actions that we'll talk about here in a minute. And these up here are animal actions. You get to choose which animal you get to claim. So you could use all 4 of these, well, all 3 of them, say, on the bird, and then the last one on, like, the turtle. You don't have to use each one on each animal individually. And this bottom area here is for endgame scoring. Now, this left side of the sheet is actually the more complicated side. This one's very straightforward. This one took me a little time to wrap my head around in the instructions. But once you understand what's going on here, it's pretty straightforward. Anytime that you claim a landmark die, so this one's going to give you a sun and a landmark. This one's going to give you just a landmark. This one's going to give you just a landmark. And then there is also the... where is it? I know it's on here. Maybe not. Maybe it's not on this die. This one, this arrowhead, changes. The landmark here changes between cards. So you can see here on the Yosemite card, the landmark or the arrowhead equals a waterfall landmark. And it gives you the instructions for what you do when you complete various things with the arrowhead. When you take one of those dice, you're either going to choose, are you going to sketch the landmark in your little sketchbook? Now, these little books look a lot like this, your whole book here, but you're just going to be sketching into these pages. And here I saved one of my previous games here so you could see what it looks like. This is at the end of a game. But here you can see I drew a waterfall, here I drew a mountain, here I drew a flower, tree, flower, waterfall, mountain, tree. This allows you to create pages in your sketchbook that you can then log journal lines in. And journal lines are important because they're worth a point at the end of the game. Every single line that I go click, 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 and draw through is a point at the end of the game. So the more pages that I draw pictures on, the more lines next to them I can fill out. Or, this is very important, the or part, or I can come up here and for each landmark, it has its own little section in the sunset area. I can circle or fill in one of these circles for the various landmark that I chose. So for this flower, I can come over here and I can either circle one of the or fill in one of these 2 circles, or I can fill in one of these 2 circles. This area is important because during the sunset of each day, including the 3rd day, I'm going to go through here, and everywhere I have a filled in circle, I'm going to get to take that action. So each one of these has the ability to draw a log line or cross through a log line on their various sketch pages. So here, if I have these 2 filled out for mountains, I can draw or fill in 2 lines on any page with a mountain on it. For example, here you can see that this mountain page, it's hard to see, but I was able to cross through 1 here, but all 3 of them here. Or if I have filled out the 2 binocular circles, I can come back over here and fill in any 2 binocular points. For trees, I can fill in any 2 water droplets. Again, that's if I have filled in both of these. Here, if I have, say, just filled in 1 sun circle during sunset, I gain 1 sun. Last but not least, the best one, in my opinion, the most fun one, but is random, is the landmark specific to the park you are playing. That's going to allow you to roll the lead hiker die, the orange one, and you gain whatever bonus it lands on. So it's a little bit random, but can be a lot of fun to roll that at the end of the round. Every time you complete a full sheet here, that means you've drawn a picture and you've filled in the 3 log lines, you gain a bonus depending on which landscape it is. So if I fill in a tree one completely, I get a binocular. If I fill in a mountain completely, I get to draw a line. That's what the pencil means. So this symbol is drawing a line, just a straight line on one of your log sheets anywhere else. Or if I fill in a flower page, then I get to fill in a water bottle. And then for the park specific one, the arrowhead, that is going to be found on the park sheet. So here you can see when I fill out a waterfall page, I gain a sun. All right, so now that we've talked about all the pages, or what we can do on the pages, let's talk about how a specific round works. So I'm going to cover the multiplayer rules first, and then we'll come back and talk about what the differences are if you're playing solo. So at the beginning of every day, you're going to take all of the dice, you're going to roll them out, and you're going to set them out for everybody to choose from. You can set them up here like so. All right. Now, if I'm the first player, I have a choice I can make. I can take any one white die, pull it out of the mix, and gain the benefits listed. If there's a dash, I have to choose. Or I can take the orange lead hiker die. That comes with a cost, though. Not only does the lead hiker die advance the chute, means it's pushing everyone towards the end of the day faster, but you also have to pay suns equal to the amount of white dice that are left. So if I wanted to be the first, if I had the first choice and I wanted to take this right off the bat, I would have to pay 4 suns to do so. That means I'm going to push the foot forward, the shoe forward, but also essentially I'm robbing everyone else of a turn that kind of round within a day, because all these dice are going to get wiped and re-rolled. Now, the first player is going to pass to the next person. They'll get to roll the dice and choose. I can't just keep stealing the lead hiker die from everyone. But it's also going to be very expensive. But if, say, 3 people have gone and I'm the 4th player, I could either choose to take this one for free, or I can choose to take the lead hiker die for 1 sun in this case. If the orange one is the only one left, it is free. So a lot of these choices do make a difference between player count, because with 3 players, it's going to go 1, 2, and then maybe you have a choice 1, 2, or what is it? Yeah, it's an uneven number of dice. So there's always going to be a different person who would get this for free if it lasts that long, depending on player count, which I like. When the shoe travels ahead. So basically people are just claiming a die, taking the action on their sheet. It's very quick. Turns go very quickly. By the time you've marked on your sheet, it's probably coming back around to you to choose a die if necessary. When the shoe advances, whoever took the lead hiker die, whether they paid for it or not only gets to take the action that is on the die. In this case, they would draw a line on the log line. They also get to take the action matching the little point of interest marker here. So in this case, they would advance the shoe and they would take a mountain action. Remember, that means that they could come fill in one of these circles, or they can draw a mountain in one of their books. Everybody, no matter, not just including the person who took the lead hiker die, but everybody gets to also draw a line in the matching icon if they have one available in their book. So at the beginning of the game here, you would have to have drawn a mountain already in order to draw a line, log a line next to it. All right, after that, the dice are going to be picked up, they're going to be re-rolled, and the next person, whoever to the left of whoever claimed the lead hiker die, now becomes the first player. So you could technically end up never be getting to go first if you just continuously are taking the lead hiker die. You'll continue doing that until the lead hiker die essentially is taken 4 times in a 1-2 player game, or 5 times in a 3 or 4 player game. When you make it to the end of the trail's end, is when you're going to take your sunset phase. Your sunset phase focuses on these 4 areas that we talked about earlier, plus there's 1 sunset action on your park card that you can take. You may take these in any order, but you have to complete each little section completely before you move on to the next. So, for example, coming back to my one that's filled in already, I could say do this one first. If I have waterfalls with empty log lines, I could have drawn through 2 of them because I have 2 dots here. I also could have rolled the orange lead hiker die twice and gained whatever benefit randomly came up. And everybody can do this individually. This is all done simultaneously. Everybody can go in whatever order they want. I then could reference the park card and spend 2 suns, all right, to choose 2, and it has to be 2 different. The park cards are all explained on the back. So each card has a little explanation on the back of how these various symbols work on the card. But here it would be spend 2 suns. This is optional. If I do, I could say take a binoculars and gain a water. My choice. I could then take that, and then I could resolve maybe these 3, again, in whatever order I want. Last thing is you're going to write down whatever your canteen bonus is. So it's the highest filled number. So here you can see I didn't score any. My first round, 1, the second round, and then I made it all the way to 6 after round 3. At that point, I mentioned this earlier, we're going to shuffle up and redistribute these point of interest tokens. We're going to roll the dice out again, and whoever was to the left of the person who took that final action is going to take first player. You do this 3 times through, and then you score. And scoring at the end of the game is quite simple. You're going to get 1 final canteen bonus, so you'll add all 3 of those up, and that'll be your total canteen score. You gain 1 point for every line that you've written on in your parks books, and if you've sketched all the way into this 5th one here, it means you've filled up every single one, you get an additional 5. You gain whatever shields you have kind of encircled here in your animals. You're going to gain also, depending on your park card, certain bonuses. For Yosemite, they want you to have sketched each symbol once, and you get 5 points. If you do it twice, you get 10 points. That's explained on the back of the card. And then you write your final score here. Whoever has the most points wins. If it's tie, enjoy the tie. So that is how you play, essentially. Now, the solo game is very similar, except, again, you are just attempting to break certain thresholds. And to play, you're going to roll the dice each round. You're also going to advance the hiker each round. So each day for you is just going to consist of 4 rounds no matter what. You're going to roll out the dice, and you have a choice. You may take any 1 die for free, or you can take 2 dice at the cost of 2 suns. You're actually going to start the game with an extra sun. All right, so you can choose 2 right off the bat. But this also means that you're going to be prioritizing suns throughout the game. You're always going to be trying to keep a good amount of suns in your back pocket. It also means you're going to be prioritizing probably the orange die anytime it pops up with anything useful. That way you know that you can get an extra bonus, technically taking a 3rd action when you make it to the trailhead. To help you along with the need of suns throughout the game, Ranger Teddy here, who's your guide for solo play, gives you a little sun bonus depending on the parks. So for Yosemite, which we see here, every time I complete, fill in one of these pairs of circles here in the binocular section, I gained a sun. All right, that just helps you because they understand suns are so important in the solo game. This is a little bonus of ways to gain extra suns, and these each change depending on the parks. Here you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parks. So there you go. And you can see here, this is kind of what a completed book would look like after you have played through a round of Parks, Roll, and Hike. So that's how you play. I already gave you my thoughts on the components. I think they're really well done, high quality. The dice are really easy to read, and feel good and chunky in your hands. They're a pleasure to roll. As far as this goes, comparing it to Parks, because obviously that I feel like that comparison has to be made. It's a little bit different because you're choosing just a single symbol that could then go away. In regular Parks, you're moving along the trail and you can stop at every symbol if you want. Now, the idea of somebody pushing the kind of end of the day faster is still there in this, which I appreciate. You could really push the speed of the game by taking the orange die and having to pay for it, but you can make that decision. Just like in Parks, you can jump both your players very quickly to the end of the trail and basically force everyone else to have a shortened round. That similar mechanic is here, which I do appreciate. I do think that's an interesting strategy. Do you feel like somebody is getting ahead of you? Do you want to jump ahead and kind of cut them off in some way, shape, or form? As far as this game compared to other roll and writes, once I got my head wrapped around the two options you had when you gained a landmark symbol versus a animal or just sun or water symbol, it became much clearer. It's, do I want to set myself up for a bigger end of round bonus, or I do need to stay ahead and keep these sheets open, because keeping sheets open, because you know you're going to see pencils and the abilities to fill in these log lines is important. You can't cross through a log line without a picture there first. So that becomes a very interesting decision. That's really the only tough decision you make, unless, I mean, obviously when you're the first to go and you have, say, all these options in front of you, there might be a tough decision to make as to which one you choose, because you know somebody else behind you is going to take them. But other than that, it's not too super complicated. I would say this is not necessarily for kids. Let's see what the age range here is listed. This is 10 and up, and I think that's probably right there. I wouldn't go much lower than that unless your child is a savant at games or something like that. Because, again, that decision to make as to what to do with your Parks die can be a very crunchy decision to make and determine whether you are successful in the game. You got to kind of look ahead and, you know, math out, what am I going to get from my sunset bonus? Is it going to set me up properly for what I want to do in the next round? Do I have the proper amount of pages opened up to be able to accept all my log lines, things like that. But in general, I really like this edition. It's pretty compact. This box size is pretty good size. It magnetically stays shut. I can't stop talking enough about the components because I just think they're delightful. And yeah, so I would definitely recommend this to anyone who enjoys Parks, or anyone who has never experienced Parks, but enjoys a good roll and write or flip and write or something like that. Both of those categories, I feel like this would be a no-brainer for you to purchase. So if you're a fan of roll and writes, or if you're a fan of Parks and or trails, this one should be easy purchase for you. It's definitely on the lighter price point side compared to, you know, many other games, and it's pretty even for like roll and writes. It's right in there around the $20 to $25 range, I think. As for anybody else, again, if you're just, you know, appreciative of nature, this one might take your attention. It doesn't quite have the same amount of awe effect that Parks does, because there's so many cards that come out in Parks, the photo cards and the park cards that you're gaining, and people just love to look at them and take them in and feel like, you know, basically you're looking at the same stuff. Your one park card and this little map, which is very colorful, but it doesn't have that same draw as Parks does. But if someone enjoys nature, they may also appreciate this game. This is kind of a middleweight roll and write for me. It's not a super complicated one, but it was also not a super easy, straightforward one. So there you go. Take that for what you will. But I'm going to recommend this one in general. I've enjoyed my playthroughs so far, and will continue enjoying this game, offering it up as we move forward. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Have a great day.